Do you know that feeling of, if I had known then what I know now, I would have done everything differently? Well, art is full of those moments. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 7 hardest lessons every artist wishes they had learned sooner. These are insights that would have saved a lot of frustration, wasted practice hours, and maybe even that urge to quit. So, whether you're just starting or have been at it for a while, stick with me until the end, because these tips could completely change your journey as an artist. By the way, if you're tired of drawing and feeling like nothing is improving, pay attention. Mark Brunet's Art School for Digital Artists was what pulled my drawings out of stagnation and gave me an insane boost. It's like going through an art school, but for a fraction of the price and only with what really matters: perspective, anatomy, color, composition, and much more, all explained step by step, from beginner to advanced. It is, by far, the best and most complete art course on the market. Don't waste time stuck at the same level. The link's in the description. Check it out now. Let's get back to the video. There is no shortcut to success. The first lesson, and perhaps one of the hardest to accept, is that there is no shortcut. When you start drawing or painting, we often get excited about the idea that in no time we'll master the technique and begin producing amazing art. The truth is, the journey is long. And it's funny how, at the beginning, we try everything: tutorials, quick courses, miraculous techniques. But the reality is that success in art comes from constant practice, from daily repetition. It's not something you'll achieve overnight. It takes time. And that time is essential for you to develop your own style, your way of expressing what you feel. You know, when you look at a piece of work by an artist you admire and think, wow, I wish I could do that. Well, that person also spent years drawing things they didn't like, making mistakes, redoing them. The difference is that they persisted. Maybe the lesson here is to accept the process. There's no point in skipping steps. Every stroke you make, every mistake you commit is taking you to a higher level. And once you understand this, the frustration lessens. You stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your own growth. It takes time, but it's rewarding. Mistakes are part of the process. Mistakes. How many times have you been frustrated because the drawing didn't turn out the way you wanted? Or maybe you started painting a canvas and suddenly realized everything was falling apart. Everyone's been through that. What no one tells you is that making mistakes is part of the creative process. If you think about it, mistakes are the only way to learn. When you draw something that doesn't come out as expected, that's when you're training your critical eye. You're noticing what can be improved. And believe me, the artists you admire make mistakes too. The difference is that they know mistakes are a tool. They use them to their advantage. Every mistake is an opportunity to grow. So, the next time you make a mistake, instead of getting upset, see it as a chance to evolve. Analyze what went wrong and try again. One thing's for sure: the more mistakes you make, the faster you learn. References are your best friends. Another hard lesson to learn is that references are absolutely essential. In the beginning, many people think that using references is like cheating, or that it diminishes the originality of their art. In reality, it's just the opposite. References give you a solid foundation to create something new. Imagine trying to draw a human figure without ever studying anatomy, without ever observing how the body moves and positions itself at different angles. Impossible, right? When you use references, you're giving yourself the chance to observe details you might not notice on your own. You're drawing inspiration from realities that will enrich your art. And it doesn't have to be just photos or images. You can use other art forms, movies, series, music, anything that brings inspiration. The secret is to use these references as a starting point, not as a copy. Over time, you'll see that the more references you have, the more original your art will become, because you'll combine all of this in a unique way. The process is more important than the result. You know that urge to finish the drawing as quickly as possible? That anxiety to get to the final piece, post it on social media, and feel proud? Well, that rush is a trap. One of the hardest lessons to understand is that the process of creating is much more valuable than the result itself. And that might sound a bit cliche, but let me explain why this makes all the difference. Many beginner artists, and even more experienced ones, get so fixated on achieving the perfect drawing that they forget to enjoy the journey. But the learning is all there, in the process. Every sketch, every crooked line, every mistake, all of it is a fundamental part of your development. The truth is, if you only focus on the final result, you'll never feel fully satisfied. The perfect drawing will never exist, and that's just the way things are. So learn to embrace the process. Criticism will make you grow if you let it. If there's one thing every artist will face at some point in their life, it's criticism. And the first reaction is always a bit negative, right? We get defensive, think people didn't understand our art or that they're being unfair. But one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that criticism is one of the most powerful tools for our growth. Of course, you need to learn to filter it. Not all criticism is constructive, but those that are, especially the toughest ones, are the ones that can help you the most. When someone points out a mistake or suggests an improvement, you have two options: feel hurt or use it as a push to get better. Most of the artists you admire today probably heard harsh critiques of their work, and instead of getting discouraged, they used it as fuel to refine their skills. Remember, no one becomes a great artist without receiving criticism along the way. Comparison can be destructive. If there's one thing that can undermine any artist's confidence, it's comparison. And man, with social media booming, that trap is everywhere. You open Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and you see amazing artists posting perfect works, magical creative processes, and it seems like everyone is evolving faster than you. It's disheartening, right? But here's the secret. Everyone has their own pace. What you see on social media is only part of the story. No one posts the mistakes, the frustrations, the terrible drawings that were thrown away. Comparing your process with another artist's is unfair to yourself. The only healthy comparison you can make is with yourself. Compare your work today with that of a year ago. See how much you've grown. That kind of comparison will motivate you to keep going. You'll never arrive. The journey is infinite. And finally, the last lesson, and perhaps the most liberating one, is that you'll never arrive. And that's a good thing. What do I mean by this? That art is a continuous journey. There's no endpoint where you can say, done. I'm the perfect artist. I have nothing left to learn. Art is infinite, and there's always something new to discover, a technique to improve, a style to explore. At first, you might have that idea that one day you'll master everything, that you'll be the best. But over time, you realize that being an artist means always learning, evolving, experimenting. And that's the beauty of it. The journey never ends. And the more you embrace that, the freer you'll feel. There's no pressure to be perfect, because perfection simply doesn't exist. If this video helped you, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next ones. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to check the description. There are several important links that can help you even more. See you in the next video.